Hickory to make a beautiful southwest shaped vessel. But we're going to take it one step further. We're going to do some cool stuff to it. This is called Lichtenberg pyography. Pyography? It's one of those words. I hope I got that right. But anyway, we are literally going to shock the crap out of this piece of wood and burn all this beautiful detail in here. When the process happens, it's fire, smoke, it's really spectacular. It is one of the coolest things around. It also can kill you. That's why we're... you'll drop off. So it's really important that when you start your roughing here, you're on tool rest and you'll work your way all the way across and you still have tool rest remaining. So see, nice and secure there. So this will take a little bit of work to get rounded out, but in a minute we're going to be making some great shavings. Now I would advise, when you work with something this big, you probably want to wear a face mask because you don't know if the wood is going to have any splits or checks in it. And early on, if something's going to go wrong, that's when it's going to happen. Because if there's a split in the wood, it might be weak and the piece of wood could break in half. This piece of hickory that I got was from a friend, and the tree had been down for several years. And when he cut the wood, I'm going to stop this to move my tool rest closer. When he cut the wood, he didn't seal the ends. So there were cracks in this wood already, so I had to cut a lot of wood away on the bandsaw. But anyway, see, I've moved the tool rest closer now, so my tool is not hanging over as much. When you start hanging over a lot is when you get into trouble. The more it hangs over, the more leverage the wood has on you. And you can see this is looking pretty good and pretty solid. And the reason I don't wear a face mask during the show very often is because it's really hard to hear me. And also, you can't see my pretty face. Now we're making fun shaving, so we are rounded out. And that looks pretty good. I just want to check to see if there's any checks or cracks in the wood, and it's looking really nice. This is beautiful wood. It's almost a shame we're going to burn the crap out of it in a little bit, but that's going to be so much fun. I want to grab my parting tool though, because we need to make a tenon on this end because we're going to hold this in the chuck. And we're going to put this in probably the largest set of chuck jaws I have. So I'm going to part down like so, and I have a pair of calipers already set for the proper diameter of my chuck jaws, and so they're pretty big, you can tell. Not as big as my head. So anyway, we'll get this in here. I'm going to rest the tenon. I'm going to rest the calipers on here. Oh my gosh, I'm getting good. I nailed it right off the bat. Let's just do one more cut and I'll show you how this works. So we'll come in, you kind of do this with one hand. You ride the calipers on top of the wood there. And you part down, and then when the calipers go across, you've got your diameter right. So now that I have my diameter right, I'm going to clean this up just a little bit. We're going to grab my favorite little special tool, and that again is my tenon tool, which has an angle on it. Now normally I cut from the other side, but if you turn this around and tilt it down like so, tilt the handle down, you can go ahead and make the tenon on this side also. I just want to bevel that in a little bit. There we go. Now we got the perfect tenon, and we're going to start shaping this to get our vase shape before we take this between centers. Now we're ready to make the shape of the vase, and you can see it's very traditional. It starts high, it has a nice shoulder on it, curves down all the way to the bottom. The curve up here is about 2/3 of the way, and then we have this lip up here, which is about 2/3 of the width of the piece. And then on the bottom, it's about 1/3 of the width. You can also, by the way, see this is cracked in a perfect here, and start working in to make the neck. And I'm using a 1/2 inch shallowed detail spindle gouge, a nice sharp one. You can see how beautifully it cuts. And I'm just setting the tool, rocking my body back, and then leaning forward into the cut. And you just want to take this off a bit at a time. It's like sneaking up on a bead too. Everything in wood turning basically is a bead. So there's a lot of sneaking in wood turning. All I'm doing is working my way back to where I can establish the shoulder, or basically I want to establish this shape right here. So I'm just working my way back, I guess from that angle. There I'm working my way back like this so I can make this shape right here, and then that's going to determine where everything is. So once I find out where that shape is on here, then I can start making all the details. So this is starting to look about right. I want to take off some extra wood here. There was a little bit of cracking in this blank, although it's going to crack anyway because I won't have time to dry it. But I'm going to come away from the end just a bit to minimize that as much as I can. Nice long sweeping curve. That looks good. So my neck is going to be about there. Here's my shoulder. So I can come back here now and start really roughing away the wood quickly. Whoop. You got to keep the bevel in contact at all times. If you dip your arm or something like that, it pops off and it jumps off the wood and it'll bump into that edge. That's called getting in a hurry. And I should know better than anybody not to do that. So anyway, you can see I'm just moving my body in one motion, making this move. And all I want is a nice flowing shape. So how do you get a flowing shape? Well, you have to also flow with the shape. Another thing is I'm not making any straight lines. These are all subtle curves all the way through this. So I'll come here. There we go. Now we're making the curve down. You can see how the shavings just fly off this tool because it's nice and sharp. Now if you start taking too much of a cut, back up, start to cut over and take less. You can come back and reestablish then and finish the cut that way. This is getting to be pretty good shape. I'm going to mess with it a little bit more and then we'll start working on the neck of the vessel. Okay, you can see we have the shape just right. So I'm going to work on the neck now. And like I said, I want to make the mouth, the neck, about 2/3 of the width of the widest part of the piece here. So I'm just going to take my parting tool and remove some excess wood. Let the tool ride the bevel on the wood and it cuts down. I want to make the lip probably about 1/4 of an inch just because I like that shape. So we're coming in here like so. I don't want to make this a really narrow mouth because we're not into showing off how to hollow right now. We're going to just make a nice wide mouth shape. And actually that's what is traditional with Southwestern pottery, is a wide mouth on the vessels. So you can see I'm just sneaking in on the cut. I'm going to blend in my shoulder right here. I'm going to roll the tool like that. And see, I caught it. The very top tip right there, I rolled it too much, caught the wood and it bounced across. So that probably gives us a little design modification, probably scratch the wood a bit. But what I want to do, and what I meant to do, is bring this in and turn it like so. Now it's flat, now it's not cutting. I want to come back and slice in here and make the undercut. So there, now I've made the first half of a bead by doing that, and then come over here now and roll the top of the bead. Now you can take the tool on its side like this and feather out the lip right here. So that looks pretty nice. What we're going to do is remove a little bit more wood here to make my life easier. And I've got to show you one thing. Get it down here. I'm going to sand this next, and I'm not going to bother you with that because that's just boring. But when you do a vessel like this, is an aggressive Forstner bit. It has some saw teeth on it, so I like it a lot for cutting. And you can see how it just blows into there, and you can see all the little shavings that come off. So it self-ejects, but after a while it's going to stop self-ejecting, and that means we're going to have to stop. See, it's not ejecting now. We're going to have to stop and clear out all the shavings. And you're familiar with me, I used to leave the lathe running when I would do that, and the noise was incredibly bad. But so now I've learned to turn it off. But you can see we're coming back out and look at the compression on all those shavings in there. So there's a lot of... You can see how it cuts? And then we'll get in a little bit deeper. Now you can see the laser hitting the wood, right? And you can see why drilling that hole in the center helps a lot, because we're not working right on the center of the wood. But look how beautifully that cuts. I've got fingertip control. I can do anything I want with it. But the whole idea is you work yourself in a little bit at a time. You make the wall the thickness you want as you go back, and keep working your way down. You can come back later and use a round tip scraper, and that will smooth out the inside for those of you who are really anal and want the inside to look pretty too. But I just go by feel. I'm feeling the tip, I drop off the edge, I pull it across. I go back, I feel the tip, I drop off the edge, I pull across. And it's just a simple movement over and over and over. And this is a high-speed still bit, and you simply just take it to your grinder and sharpen it like you would a scraper, so it puts a little burr on there. You lose the burr pretty quickly, but this is sharp enough and hard enough that it cuts into this wood beautifully for quite a while. Some maybe have to sharpen this one time during this whole process, if that. So I go back in, find that hole, figure out where I am, So I'm going to work my way in a little bit deeper, and then we'll show you how the laser pointer really pays off. A lot of shavings in here. Now I wanted to show you this. You can see how the laser works really good. You can see our wall thickness now. We're getting pretty close to where we want to be. Matter of fact, I'm just going to take a couple more passes, and then all we have to do is part this off here. And then we're going to have fun because we're going to take this and do some pornography. We're going to burn it. Now we're ready to meet the man who's going to turn this into this, and that man...
Soak it with a mixture of sodium bicarbonate, which is just baking soda, and water, and a certain amount of saturation, and then basically that's about it. We're good to go.
Okay, let's see it happen. So you have to have both probes touching for it to start burning, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then, wow, that's really cool. So it just slowly crawls across.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea why it picks the directions it picks?
Well, it has to do with the level of saturation in any given direction, because electricity always wants to go toward the path of least resistance.
So does it follow the grain of the wood sometimes? Or?
Yeah, it also does that because the different sections through the wood saturate the sodium bicarbonate differently, which makes it favor one spot because that's again the path of least resistance.
Did you have to modify your approach as far as how you hold the tools when it came to the round objects?
Not particularly, actually.
It's really interesting. It's like its own little light show in there. You can see the red glow inside, so that's obviously really hot.
Oh yeah.
And then the little sparkles. It's just mesmerizing to watch.
Yeah, it's quite fun.
So how long would it take you to do this vessel? How long did it take you to do the last one?
This one right here would probably take me about 30 minutes to have it completely finished.
So this looks a little bit different than the one we have here, but it turns out different every time, right?
Yeah, each fractal pattern is extremely unique.
Okay, and even though it looks really dark and black there, you do a scrubbing process to clean off the carbon, right?
Yeah, a little bit of a finishing process to kind of reveal the true shapes of the arcs.
And then it starts looking like this, and you guys finish with what? What do you put on your wood?
Usually a wood stain or like a polyurethane.
And that pops out the grain of the wood and makes